In the 4th century AD, the Franks settled in northern Gaul, which was under the rule of the Roman Empire at that time. Until the 4th century, the Franks were a Germanic community living within the borders of present-day Germany. So, how did the Franks, emerging as a confederation of tribes, become one of the most powerful communities in Western Europe? To understand this, we need to go back to the years when the Romans first encountered the Germans, which is the 1st century BC. In the 1st century BC, Gaul was conquered by Roman general Gaius Julius Caesar. From that moment on, the Rhine River became the border between Rome and the Germanic communities. The Romans engaged in a centuries-long struggle for dominance against the Germans beyond the river. During this period, the Franks, like other Germanic communities, were in conflict with the Romans. However, by the 4th century, the relationship between the Franks and Rome took on a different dimension. In the year 358, a branch of the Franks known as the Salian Franks allied with Rome. Consequently, the Franks obtained permission to settle in the Roman province of Belgica Secunda. The Salian Franks established a kingdom centered in the capital of Tournai and pledged military support to the Romans. Clovis, born approximately 100 years after this agreement between the Salian Franks and the Romans, is now considered one of the most significant figures in French history. This is because Clovis, by transforming the Franks from a small tribal organization into one of the most powerful states of the time, laid the foundations for present-day France. So, who was Clovis? Let's take a closer look. Clovis was born around the year 466 AD. His father, Childeric, was the king of the Salian Franks. In the early years of his reign, Childeric made efforts to maintain an alliance with the Romans. However, in the year 472, the kingdom of Burgundy and the Visigoths captured Roman territories in Gaul. In 476, the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was dethroned by the Germanic origin Flavius Odoacer. Thus, the Western Roman Empire collapsed. 5 years after this event, in 481, Childeric died, and his son Clovis succeeded him. After the withdrawal of the Romans from the region, Clovis sought to expand his country's territories by seizing opportunities. However, when he ascended the throne, he was only a 15-year-old inexperienced youth. Given his age, he first had to establish his authority among the nobles and the people of his country. During the first 5 years of his reign, he consolidated his authority within the country and made preparations. By the year 486, he decided to attack the kingdom of Soissons, his southern neighbor, to prove himself externally. The kingdom of Soissons was ruled by a man named Syagrius. Syagrius's father, Egidius, had been the governor of the Gaul province of the Western Roman Empire and declared his independence in 461, taking advantage of the declining authority of the Western Roman Empire. After Egidius's death in 464, the throne passed to his son Syagrius. Yes, Clovis had strengthened his position among the Franks over the years, but defeating the kingdom of Soissons on his own would not be easy. To defeat Syagrius, he needed support. Therefore, he attempted to form alliances with Ragnacar, the king of Cambrai, and Charic, presumed to be the king of Tongeren. In fact, Ragnar and Charic were kings of different Frankish groups, and both had agreed to support Clovis. However, Charic, thinking that the war could not be won, rejected the request for assistance. The united Frankish forces faced Syagrius's army near the city of Soissons in the year 486. In the ensuing battle, both sides suffered heavy losses. However, at the end of the battle, the Franks were the ones left on the battlefield. Shoes, realizing he would be defeated, fled and sought refuge with Visigoth King Alaric, hoping to get help to save his kingdom. However, Alaric, unwilling to engage in war with the Franks, captured Shoes and sent him to Clovis instead. Clovis, having his enemy executed, seized the lands of the kingdom of Soissons, including Paris. With this victory, the Franks, under the leadership of Clovis, began to expand their borders southward. However, they needed to secure their position in the region. For this purpose, in the year 493, Clovis married Clotilde, the niece of Burgundian King Gundobad. Clotilde, like her husband, was a Catholic Christian. When the couple's first child, Enomer, was born, she insisted on having the child baptized as a Christian in the church. Due to her persistence, the baby was baptized. However, Enomer fell seriously ill shortly after birth and passed away. Clovis, known as Trajan, believed that the child died because of the baptism. When their second son, Cloder, was born, Clotilde insisted on the child being baptized in the church, and her insistence was eventually accepted. Cloder was baptized, and like the previous baby, he fell seriously ill. However, he survived the illness. Throughout this process, Clotilde consistently encouraged her husband to convert to Christianity. The influence of his wife gradually led Clovis to warm up to Christianity over time. Clovis's full conversion to Christianity would occur after the war with the Allemans. The Allemans had been engaging in border agreements with the Ripuarian Franks under the rule of King Sigebert for some time and constantly raiding the Frankish-controlled territories. In recent times, these raiding activities had been increasing. By the year 496, the Allemans launched a major attack on Sigebert's kingdom. In response, Sigebert sought help from Clovis. Clovis responded positively to this request for assistance and set out with an army to confront the Allemans in battle. However, at the end of the battle, the Franks were the ones left on the battlefield. Shoes, realizing he would be defeated, fled and sought refuge with Visigoth King Alaric, hoping to get help to save his kingdom. However, Alaric, unwilling to engage in war with the Franks, captured Shoes and sent him to Clovis instead. Clovis, having his enemy executed, seized the lands of the kingdom of Soissons, including Paris. With this victory, the Franks, under the leadership of Clovis, began to expand their borders southward. However, they needed to secure their position in the region. For this purpose, in the year 493, Clovis married Clotilde, the niece of Burgundian King Gundobad. Clotilde, like her husband, was a Catholic Christian. When the couple's first child, Enomer, was born, she insisted on having the child baptized as a Christian in the church. Due to her persistence, the baby was baptized. However, Enomer fell seriously ill shortly after birth and passed away. Clovis, known as Trajan, believed that the child died because of the baptism. When their second son, Cloder, was born, Clotilde insisted on the child being baptized in the church, and her insistence was eventually accepted. Cloder was baptized, and like the previous baby, he fell seriously ill. However, he survived the illness. Throughout this process, Clotilde consistently encouraged her husband to convert to Christianity. The influence of his wife gradually led Clovis to warm up to Christianity over time. Clovis's full conversion to Christianity would occur after the war with the Allemans. The Allemans had been engaging in border agreements with the Ripuarian Franks under the rule of King Sigebert for some time and constantly raiding the Frankish-controlled territories. In recent times, these raiding activities had been increasing. By the year 496, the Allemans launched a major attack on Sigebert's kingdom. In response, Sigebert sought help from Clovis. Clovis responded positively to this request for assistance and set out with an army to confront the Allemans in battle. Godebad defeated his brother Gogisel's army, had him executed, and became the sole ruler of his country. Thus, Burgundy became a kingdom paying tribute to the Franks. By the year 507, Clovis decided to embark on a campaign against the Visigoths. Visigoth King Alaric had previously established good relations with Clovis by surrendering Syagris to him. During the period leading up to 507, peace between the two states was maintained, except for minor border conflicts. However, recent internal disturbances in Visigothic territory provided Clovis with an opportunity to easily seize Visigoth lands, and he was eager to capitalize on this opportunity. Visigoth King Alaric adhered to the Arianism doctrine within Christianity. This doctrine rejected the Trinitarian belief of Christianity, asserting that Jesus was a mortal being created by God. However, Arianism was a dangerous view at that time, as it was considered heretical by Catholics. Many Catholics in Visigothic lands were displeased with Alaric's rule due to this doctrine. Clovis, being a Catholic Christian, began to be seen as a savior by Catholics in Visigothic lands during this period, and he sought to exploit this situation to his advantage. Considering all these factors, Clovis launched a campaign against the Visigoths in 507. To gain the support of Catholics in enemy territories, he prohibited his soldiers from plundering. This way, he intended to present himself not as an invader but as a liberator. Ultimately, the Frankish army faced the Visigothic army in the Battle of Vuil. In this battle, the Visigoths suffered a heavy defeat, and their king, Alaric, lost his life on the battlefield. With this victory, Clovis seized control of the region from the south of the Loire River to the Pyrenees. The territory obtained after the war encompassed a significant portion of what is now modern-day France. However, the Franks were still unable to unite under a single ruler. King Sigebert of the Ripuarian Franks and Clovis's relatives Ragn and Charik continued to rule as kings of different Frankish communities. Clovis knew that this situation could potentially undermine his authority in the future. If his country became weak, these Frankish kingdoms might unite against him, posing a significant threat. To prevent this, he needed to unite all the Franks under his rule. In order to achieve these goals, Clovis first established communication with Charibert, the son of King Sigebert, and incited him to become the new king by killing his father. Responding to this, Charibert took action by assigning 2 assassins to kill his father. Subsequently, he sent a messenger to Clovis, requesting him to send his soldiers to claim Charibert's share from his father's treasury. Clovis's soldiers reached Charibert after some time, but their intention was not to share from the treasury. Clovis had instructed his soldiers to kill Charibert. When the Frankish soldiers faced Charibert, they found an opportunity and successfully completed the assassination. Thus, Clovis's plan had smoothly unfolded. However, there was one more thing to do. After Charibert's death, Clovis went to the region and conveyed the concern he supposedly felt about King Sigebert's death to the tribal leaders loyal to Charibert. He told them that Sigebert's killing had been personally punished by Charibert and suggested that the people in the region place themselves under his protection. The tribal leaders, whose king and princes had been killed, had no choice but to submit to Clovis's dominance. Therefore, they accepted this proposal. Thus, Clovis brought the Ripuarian Franks under his rule without engaging in any warfare. Following this, the next Frankish king on the list was Chilperic. Despite being related to Charibert, he had not supported him in the war against the kingdom of Soissons. Clovis could not afford a repeat of such a situation, so he needed to eliminate Chilperic. For this purpose, he captured Charik and his son, locking both of them in a monastery. However, rumors began to spread that Charin, the son, planned to escape from the monastery seeking revenge. In response, Clovis ordered his killing to secure his position. Thus, he eliminated another adversary. After Charin's death, the remaining one was King Ragnar of Cambrai. Despite supporting Clovis in the war against his relative, Ragnar was actually the greatest threat to Frankish unity. After converting to Christianity and being baptized, a significant portion of Clovis's soldiers had abandoned him to join the pagan Ragnar. Therefore, Clovis had first seized the Frankish kings whom he considered weak. Ragnar was the last one remaining. To weaken Ragnar's power, Clovis sent valuable items to the tribal leaders loyal to Ragnar and asked them to join him. Accepting these gifts, the tribal leaders believed that siding with Clovis, who they thought had a higher chance of winning the war, was in their best interest. This situation led to Ragnar's downfall. Through battles fought against him, Clovis defeated Ragnar and eventually killed him. Both his lands and subjects joined Clovis's vast kingdom. Thus, all the Franks united under the rule of a single man, Clovis. Clovis, initially a warrior community living under Roman dominion, found an opportunity to expand their territories as the Western Roman Empire withdrew from the historical stage, much like other Germanic tribes. Under the leadership of Clovis, the Franks became one of the most prominent powers in Europe by defeating other communities in the region one by one. In a short period, they assimilated with the native populations and adopted Roman culture, laying the foundations of today's French society. Clovis, named after his dynastic grandfather Merovic, was referred to as the Merovingians. This dynasty ruled the Frankish Kingdom between the 5th and 8th centuries. Charlemagne, the famous king of the Franks and a pivotal figure in the formation of modern France, belonged to the rising Carolingian dynasty starting from the mid-8th century. Since we have previously covered Charlemagne in a separate video, we won't delve into that topic in this video. You can watch our video on this topic through the link provided in the description. The Carolingian Empire covered a significant part of Europe, emphasizing a Christian identity and being considered a new Roman Empire. After Charlemagne's death in 814, his only surviving son, Louis the Pious, ascended the throne. With Louis's death in 840, the empire was divided among his 3 sons. After 3 years of internal wars and turmoil, the sons signed the Treaty of Verdun. According to this treaty, the empire was divided into 3 parts, encompassing the territories of present-day Germany, France, and Italy. The share that fell to Karl, one of Louis's sons, was the West Frankish Kingdom. This kingdom would eventually be known as France over time.